Hello and welcome back to another Unity 5 tutorial. As mentioned in the last episode, at the very end I just cut to one big recording in two. So without further ado, let's get right back into it. So now the next thing I want to do, sorry, that's not it. The next thing I want to do is look into how we could get this one, for instance, get this object into a prefab in some sort of way. So there are actually two approaches how we can do this, or what we would like a prefab to be able to do. Once we could have a prefab which would look pretty much like we would see the waypoint shape and would be able to press create area and then would get our mesh from it. Or we could create a prefab in a way so we actually, all that we got is this geometry, this mesh with its data, but we would not be able to adjust it anymore. I think both approaches have their use cases, so we're just going to look at both of them. So the way we do this is we first move back to our area script, and now the first thing is we're going to try first to create it as an adjustable object. So I call this create prefab. Yeah, let's just add this here, editor and assets or something like that, just so we know what is inside this region. So the first thing I want to check is if there are enough points. So if they're less than 3 points, we need at least 3 points to create our object. Then I'm just gonna create a cube. And then another thing we got to check if there's no 3D mesh yet, then I'm actually not sure if we need that, but I thought about it when I wrote up this code. Yeah, I think we might not even need it. I'm just gonna jot it down for now and then we have a look later. So basically I'm saying if we don't have a mesh filter, that means we have not pressed our create area button yet. There is no 3D representation of this mesh. So I just do this in this step. But yeah, we'll have a look later if we need it. I think not. Now we need to get a path. And in order to get a path, we need to include another namespace using system.io. Oh, we actually need another one. I just need to... Oh yeah, of course, we need the Unity editor because that one has the references to, or holds the classes for the asset database. And we need this one to get our path. So this is selection. So I'm just going to write this these lines of code here and then we can look at it. almost done. Just bear with me, please. Okay, so about these lines of code, I just took liberty and just Googled it, how to do it, and I found that on Stack Overflow, I believe. So I did not really fiddle around with it. All I needed was a path where we could instantiate, or not instantiate, where we can save our prefab. So this one worked for me. I have only tried it on the PC. So I'm not sure if that would also work on mobile devices, for instance, or so. But yeah, I just now take it as is. So now we're finally at the point where we can actually do something like name our object. So we are creating a .prefab object. I'm just gonna call this new area object .prefab. So that should work for us. And now in order to create the actual prefab, we need to use the prefab utility, create prefab, and this one needs this path we just put together, and a game object, and of course this would be the object, the holder of this script, because that's what we want to save as a prefab. So I've saved the code, and now we move back to our area editor script. Just copy and paste those 3 lines and add a create prefab button. Just make sure that this is right. Create prefab. There we go. I save the script, move back to Unity, and now we have this funky looking object. And oh no, we have an arrow. So I just need to check. I have a typo again. Sorry about that. Okay. Now Unity is happy again. And there's our button. So I hit the button. And now, as you look to the assets folder, we have this new object called new area object. As I track it in the scene, that's a bit up too close, but it doesn't matter. You can hopefully tell this is the same shape. And this is what I was talking about. Now we have the waypoints basically set up. Like that's all we've saved in the prefab. But of course it just takes hitting create area and we got our area object. And the nice thing about that is if you have large areas with, let's say, whatever, 25 waypoints, you just don't want to, do that a few times by hand. You just want to save one prefab with 20 or 30 waypoints that are sort of in a circle, and then you can work with that, can adjust it easily. Okay, I'm just gonna delete this one. And now this was one way to approach the whole thing. Let's look into the other way of creating something. So we need another function, a public void. This time I call it create asset. So yeah, I just was not really creative with names here, and it's probably also wrong because it will both be prefabs. Yeah, but I just wanted to distinguish those two functions somehow. So if you have a better name, go for it. And now we still haven't checked if we actually need these lines of code. That's why I just copy and paste them. So, and actually we also need this entire get paths part. There's now a lot of duplicate code. You can clean that up if you like. I'm just too lazy right now to do so. I'm also gonna use this one. I'm just gonna, yeah, just for clarity's sake, I'm just gonna rename it. And now we have an asset. It's not a .prefab anymore. This will be an area mesh .obj. Okay. I think I'm missing something, but I will see in time. So, game object. Now what I want to do is I want to basically hit this button, create a cube, because a cube got already a whole lot of things that I need, so I don't need to put them together myself. And all I want to do is replace this cube mesh, because this is really what makes, or this mesh is really what makes the cube a cube. So yeah, I'm just gonna create a cube first. So game object dot create primitive type dot cube. That's how you create primitives if you ever need it. Now mesh. I'm just getting a reference to our mesh. I had some trouble with that, and that was the solution I found. I think the mesh was just deleted before I could use it, or I don't really know what was going on, but this works now. So let's see. I'm just instantiating the mesh from itself. So we use the mesh filter, and the compiler is giving us an error if we use the mesh in an editor script. So the compiler tells me to use the shared mesh, so I will be the last one to argue that. Okay, this temp mesh needs a name. I call it area mesh. So now we need again our asset database, and this time we create an asset. It takes an object, which is the mesh in this case, and we have the asset path and name. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I actually didn't try this out, but with the explanation of this function, I found the save assets function without the typo, and the refresh function. Yeah, I've tried it before, and it also creates an asset without them, but I guess they're important, so we just take them in. So yeah, I guess you can tell from my explanations that I'm just learning as I go. But yeah, if you need more in-depth knowledge about that, just look up the reference. There should be somewhere an explanation. of those functions. So now we need to modify our cube, and the cube got a mesh filter, and the mesh filter got a mesh, and I'm gonna set this to temp mesh. So sorry, the error I was talking about only happens in the instantiate function, so it does not happen here, if you're wondering why I can now happily use a mesh instead of a shared mesh. So, and now at this point a whole lot happened already, like we've replaced actually we can have a look how it looks like as we do. No, we cannot. We need a button first. Nothing easier than that. With my nice naming convention, I will call this now a create asset. So I save the script and jump back to Unity. Now I want to save this one. We have here create asset button. And this is a cube. It just doesn't look like one. No, this was a cube, and I added the area mesh, or replaced the cube mesh with our area mesh, and right away it looks like a duplicate of this one. So as you look now in our project view, here we got a mesh. I can pull it in. Okay, we don't see a whole lot. So we're obviously still missing something, but this one should hold all the data about this mesh already. So but one thing we need to fix is as I press the button, I do not want this one to be created here, or at least not to stay here in our scene view. So let's say destroy immediate cube Oh no, sorry, we're not that far yet. I was ahead of myself. So sorry about that. Yeah, we got a box collider on our mesh. So as you can tell, this doesn't look much like a box, and if you look here, the box collider is a bit lost with this mesh. It's just sitting next to it and doesn't know how to handle this giant. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna destroy it. Get component box collider. Because we really don't need a box collider for our mesh. What we need is a mesh collider. Our MC, we're just gonna create it and get a reference again in one line of code. There we go. So now it's right away added to our cube. And here we need to use the shared mesh because there's no mesh. And we set our temp mesh to it. We set just the standard settings we need for our area to work. So this is trigger true. So this is basically the same we've done in our creation up here. Okay. And now we, okay, now I remember and I know what I've been missing here. We actually need a second path. Yeah, let's just create it now. And this one will actually be a prefab. Path and name, and I call this Now we still need to keep that separate from the new area object. So I'm just going to call this new area prefab. Okay, and now with the prefab utility, we create a prefab at set path, and we use the cube. So just to point that out, if you're thinking, well, we've done that already, no, at this point we are creating an object with our mesh. There was the object what didn't show anything, which still holds all the data. And now we are creating a prefab of our modified cube. So why do we need to do this in the first place? Because we need the mesh as an extra file, otherwise our cube doesn't know where to get a mesh from. So if you want to instantiate the cube, since it's a prefab, it would not have any shape if it cannot find the data of the mesh anywhere in the assets folder. So prefab utility. Oh yeah, now we're gonna do what I wanted to do before. We're gonna destroy our cube. So with that we should be finished. I just save the script, jump back to Unity, delete this cube, delete this cube. Now again, we got our area and we want to save it as an asset. So I press the button, nothing is in our scene view, nothing in our hierarchy happened, or a lot happened, but it's gone already before we see it. But here in our project view, we got a few more things. So we actually got area mesh number 1 because we created area mesh before. So it just counts, Unity just counts up automatically. But as we look at this object, new area, you can see the area mesh number 1 is assigned to it. So without having this separate object, this one would not work. But now that we have it, I can just drag in our prefab and there we go. I'm not sure why it is this little cube sticking in here. Okay, this one confuses me. That's our box collider. It's still in there. I thought we got rid of that guy. Okay, let's have a look. I probably have another typo in there. I just need to check. Okay, I think that will do the trick. I hope so. I think we just got a box collider from the wrong object. We tried to get a box collider here and delete it where there's none. So I just delete this one once more, create another asset. So we have now new area 1 holding area mesh 2. And as you can see already, no box collider anymore. Great. And now if you look at it, we do not have any options here with this mesh anymore. We cannot move around waypoints anymore. We cannot adjust it anymore. But on the other hand, we can just instantiate it over and over as you even could build stuff with it. I mean, I said before we cannot render textures on it since we don't have any UV coordinates. But if you figure out how to do it and you edit, then you could actually create in this way like props for your game, really rough objects if you like. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, I'm not going to play around more with it. Sorry, getting distracted here. So I hope you enjoyed this series creating our area tool. I already got a small list of what to do with our area tool, what to add and what to change. Same for the waypoints tool, but I'm not going to focus on these two for a while now, I think. If you have any ideas yourselves, yeah, just feel free to try out things. Write some comments below and just let me know what you would like to see. If you have any need for other tools, there already have been requests, like if there are other tools you would like, just write a comment. And if you like the videos, please like it, subscribe to my channel. And other than that, thank you for watching and see you in another tutorial. Bye.